Hey, what's going on, you guys? Hey, welcome back to another episode with iTrack. Big shout out to everybody in the building, all the members in the chat. Per usual, I have a handful of interesting and creepy videos, man. Make sure to smash that like button, smash the subscribe button if you're not already part of the iTrack family. Let's not even waste any more time. Let's just jump straight into it.
There's no entry or exit wound. How they're designed is to make the target feel like they're crazy, like they're imagining things, especially on the low duration, the low intensity, long duration hits.
Are either of you aware of any individuals who have AHI symptoms have passed away from their ailments?
I do.
I do.
Have any of you three panelists ever seen one of these weapons?
I have seen a 1991 version of the weapon, and it looks like a satellite dish with a unit this size attached to it. Which, of course, over the years, miniaturization has been possible. Obviously, there's a limitation to how miniaturized it can be because of the antenna size, which is always related to the wave. But still, it is something that can be well contained in the trunk of a car or even a large backpack.
So the reports that came out so far say there were only 20 U.S. operatives that came out and captured Maduro. So they must have had some kind of upper echelon technology to do that by themselves. That's pretty wild. And it seems like all of Latin America is talking about it.
It's exactly what you think. Korea does it again. The scientists there are truly top of the world, and they figured out a way to reverse cancer. They found like the three main switches that causes cells to grow uncontrollably like this to create cancer, which, by the way, that's a whole different side point because every person has cancerous cells. It's just when these three switches go out of control that it creates cancer. Anyway, long story short, this is amazing to see. There are so many different advancements in cancer. I don't know why anybody's even going for the old chemo treatments anymore, especially when there's ways to delete cancer with proton beams and even sound.
And you know what? He makes a great point, because on my channel alone, I've definitely displayed at least 2 or 3 other options other than chemotherapy. So yeah, there's a lot going on in the world of cancer treatment.
AI is saying, we're just going to dump a bunch of viruses on you. And they're deadlier than anything we've ever created.
AI just created living viruses, and some of them are deadlier than anything nature created. Researchers successfully taught AI to write the genetic code for entirely new life forms. They took 2 AI models called Evo1 and Evo2. These are genome language models that can read your entire DNA. So they fed these AIs the genetic blueprint of over 2 million viruses, and then asked the models, design me a virus that can hunt and eliminate E. coli bacteria. AI didn't just copy existing viruses. It invented completely new genetic sequences that had never existed in 3.8 billion years of evolution, synthesized the actual DNA in a lab, and then brought these digital viruses to life. 16 of these AI-created viruses were not only alive and functional, but some of these were even more effective than the original virus they were based on. One of the viruses, called Evo PHI-69, completely dominated natural viruses by up to 65 times. And when they tested against antibiotic-resistant bacteria, the AI viruses succeeded where natural ones completely failed, rapidly overcoming resistance that had stumped evolution for millions of years. So we've officially entered the era where AI doesn't just predict biology, it creates it.
So somebody tell me, why they're going the opposite direction with AI? We should be looking for more solutions and not more problems.
13 elite families have been running this planet for hundreds, maybe thousands of years, in part by using magic and telling you that magic doesn't exist. So today I'm going to expose a little bit of the magic that they use, and a huge misconception that everybody who thinks that they're in the know perpetuates. So let's refresh our memory about what magic is. The base of magic is that we are all perpetually co-creating the realities around us, right? And the basic idea is, if one can manipulate their mind, they can manipulate their reality. So let's break down the conspiracy, and I'll tell you how it actually works. So the idea, and I think this is one of the first conspiracy I ever heard 15, 20 years ago, was that the Illuminati or the evil cabal or whatever, goes by many different names, has to, by karmic law, tell people what they're doing before they do it, which is why sometimes we see, people say, like, in The Simpsons, the Simpsons are predicting things, or different TV shows or different mediums are predicting certain things or telling us certain things before they happen. And it's, some sort of arbitrary karmic law that they have to follow. That's incorrect. Keeping in mind the definition that we just set up for magic, what's happening is the exact opposite. Here's the thing. If I wanted to accomplish a massive thing, a big thing, and I knew that all of us are co-creators in this reality, right? The easiest way for me to accomplish a large thing would be to implant the images and the ideas and the emotions into the minds of hundreds or thousands or millions of people in order to accomplish that thing, in order to bring that thing to light. The outrage happens in the news before it happens in the streets, right? The concepts start on the internet before they start in the streets, in reality, right? So in this way, they're using everyone's collective creative power to their own advantage and against yours.
That's pretty much been my thoughts all along. Evil people are going to do evil things no matter what. So them telling you ahead of time, I think that's not even the right way to go about it. I think they're just letting you know because it's going to happen either way.
This was a massive looking spaceship thing. It was gold. It was thin, and it had lightning bolts beaming all around it like it was all alive. It was over the Vatican. It was over Italy in the vision. And the other one was over the temples, these Mayan-looking temple things in Mexico. But the people had signs. They had, like, welcome to Earth. And they had signs, and they were excited about this alien thing going on in the sky. So they were, like, tinfoil hat people. Like, I'm talking, had signs, and I started to laugh. Because when I saw it, I thought, that's really funny, Lord. And the Lord said, no, this is not funny. This is a great deception. And many people are going to fall for what's about to take place on the earth. They're trying to come up with an alibi. The demonic is coming up with an alibi of what happens when the rapture takes place. This is a great deception. So then, over America, I saw balls of light that were traveling at the speed of light very quick. Choo, 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 choo. And they would go into Canada, and they would go up and down the East Coast. And there was more than one, but they were the size of a little car. And they were coming out of the mothership. And the Lord kept saying, fearful sights you will see that will bring you to your knee. They will fall to their knee, Brandon. And people are going to be freaked out over what they're about to see on the earth.
They say curiosity killed the cat, but explain this one to me. If the COVID shots were given away for free because they're life-saving, then why aren't chemotherapy, insulin, and EpiPens? Just asking.
And if you ask me, she's asking all the right questions.
I'm telling you, the world is not ready for all the things that have been hidden from us for hundreds of years. Everything I show you in this short video is 1000% fact. So don't get mad at the messenger because your history teachers lied to you. Let's start. Fact 1. Did you know that all the islands and all the continents moved out of their place to new places? California used to be an island. The continents did kind of like Pangea. They were all very close together. And some major cataclysm happening, separating everything from itself. Fact 2. Did you know the stars did indeed fall from heaven? They say it happened in the 1800s, but if you know, then you know our civilization started in 1776. Or right about then, and when this happened, every eye in the world saw it. Fact 3. Did you know that all of our railroad tracks were discovered meters under the mud and dirt and go all the way from South America to the up northernmost tip of everything? Do you get it? Yep, the same place the auroras come from. Yep, the same place with Rubus nigra in the 4 quadrants of land. The place where Google Maps will kick you off. Oh, and by the way, did you know that probably the second most anticipated character of the entire Bible in the book of Daniel traveled to this North Mountain? Guy wanted to be like God. Yes, everything was melted in our near past. Fact 4. And I surely mean everything. You'll find melted buildings, melted rocks, melted canyons all over the earth. Why isn't that in the history books? This one's actually pretty scary. Fact 5. Did you know that the Mount of Olives was in fact splitted exactly half a mile to Azel? Even more so, they built in the crack of the Mount Olives after 1800. They just filled it up. Because this, my friends, was Jerusalem in the 1800s. It looks like something massive had taken place right here. By the way, did you know that Nero Caesar demanded worship as God, and if you didn't do it, he would unalive you? And quite literally, all of Jerusalem was desecrated and destroyed in 70 AD. What are we, at fact 6 now? Did you know that the whole entire earth, after the melting, caught fire and destroyed all the buildings everywhere? Just look around me. Stick with me, they're only facts. Where are we at? Fact 7. Did you know that the sun went dark for literally 18 months? Again, the date, 536 AD. But in the history of wars, they wrote that men were free neither from death nor pestilence nor any kind of anything bad for this whole time it went dark. Like the whole time the sun went dark, there was massive tribulation on all the people. Scientists now try to say it was volcanoes, but this does not match historical records, as the sun was dark everywhere in the earth at that time. And if you're curious why I never trust their dates, we have caught these people in the act adding 1,000 or 500 years to buildings. Straight up slopping on another 1,000 years. Look, I have been studying eschatology, history, and archaeology for over 13 years, and I've come to find that Google changes its mind all the time. But one thing that is forever are statues and buildings, even if they change them. Yes, the shackle is broken off the statue of Louis First Foot. If you made it this far, well done. This kind of information is very hard for people to stomach. And look, it was for me too, but we're not even close to done yet. I still have 200 more facts to give you along with every book in the Bible, so stay tuned.
Last night, President Trump said, quote, "We are going to start now hitting land with regard to the cartels. The cartels are running Mexico. It's very, very sad to watch and see what's happened to that country," end quote. President Trump made the remarks during an interview with Sean Hannity.
Past couple of days, people all over TikTok have been posting what it's like to drive through Mexico City, and it's actually terrifying. When I say there are hundreds of missing posters everywhere for children and adults, I am not exaggerating at all. And even though no one in the comments could really give an explanation to why this is happening, a quick Google search will show you that it's literally because of the cartels. I mean, there's literally an entire Wikipedia page explaining how corruption has gotten so bad that innocent people are being kidnapped all the time. But considering this has been happening since the early 2000s, it honestly feels like there is no real solution to this problem.
When you put it that way, Trump needs to get there ASAP.
I wonder what flat earthers think about the other planets in the solar system. Do they think the other planets are flat too?
They don't teach you this in school, but you can just refuse to be embarrassed about anything, and suddenly nothing is embarrassing anymore.
It has to be the torture program. I went to prison for 23 months for going public with the CIA's torture program. I went on ABC News in the United States in December of 2007, and I said 3 things. I said the CIA was torturing its prisoners. I said that torture was official U.S. government policy. The FBI investigated me. They determined I had not committed a crime. Then Barack Obama became president. They secretly reopened the case against me. I was indicted and charged with 5 felonies, including 3 counts of espionage for giving this interview. Remember, espionage can be a death penalty charge. I had 3 of them. Well, I hadn't committed espionage, and finally, they dropped those charges, but I ended up taking a plea to a lesser charge just to make this thing go away. I had 5 kids at home. I had gone bankrupt from the legal expenses, and I was facing 45 years in prison. They offered me 23 months, and I took the deal. But I would do it again today if I had to, because somebody had to stand up and say that this was wrong.
Knowing he has 5 kids at home, he might want to rethink that, because somebody got to feed them kids and take care of them babies.
So scientists are reporting that people are passing away at a rapid rate right now due to them cracking their necks. Check this out. So people have been cracking their necks for a long time, and apparently now, for some reason, you can maybe guess as to what the reasons might be. People, when they're cracking their necks while they're driving or while they're in an athletic sport, or whatever the case is, just to relieve the tension, are doing it. And for whatever reason, it's causing a separation in the artery, or it's cracking their neck in general, where the spine is, and it's making people pass for some reason. What are some of the reasons this could be all out of a sudden? It seems very strange. We do have a lot of things going on with flu and different diseases and things like that, and strange things happening. But what could be causing this? Have you had anybody have this happen to them? Put your comment in the comments section. I'm always worried about cracking necks. My friend used to do that all the time.
Weird facts guaranteed to ruin your day. If you're ever seriously on fire, your eyeballs will pop and melt down your face while you are still alive. Commercial airplane skin is so thin that you're basically flying in an aluminum can. If you put yogurt in a dead person's butt, they decompose faster. Grinded bones smell like Cool Ranch Doritos. A chicken named Mike once lived without its head for 18 months. He was fed through a dropper. Whales drown when they die. Cruise ships have morgues. People with hypothermia think they're overheating. Baseball mascots used to be kids with disabilities. They thought these kids were good luck charms. Oxygen is slowly killing us, but we'll die faster without it. Up until 2001, Disney character actors had to share communal underwear. Thousands of people die each year because of doctors with bad handwriting. Cleopatra had 4 great-grandparents. You're supposed to have 8. 2 of those were the children of the other 2. You will most probably get worms in your entire body from eating raw pork. They'll hatch in your stomach and then your bloodstream will carry them literally everywhere. Thank you.
And you cannot help but do nothing but be in a perpetual cringe stage when you hear all those facts.
Right. Because I wonder mechanics. Well, I wonder what happens when you take an engine apart. Yeah. And then one day I was thinking, what happens if you take the piston apart itself and then you take the metal? What's the metal made of? And I knew all that's from science class. It's atoms, eventually molecules. Right. And then I started reading some books that suggest that that's not exactly the case. And then one of these writers said, no one's actually ever seen an atom. And I read that and I said, come on, this should be on on the news somewhere. And truly, no one. They've seen shadows of them. They don't. There's no. And once you keep dividing particles down, there is truly nothing there in the sense, in the traditional sense of what knock on wood, what matter is.
Now here's the flower of life.
Okay.
The age of it is almost unknown.
Oh, yeah.
But each and every, it's 64 overlapping circles, but there are no straight lines there. But at a time when the thought was that there were straight lines or the world was flat, guess what they did? They averaged the spaces where the circles overlap.
Exactly.
And I was like, oh, that's an average. That's an approximation. That's not real.
Right.
The Pythagorean theorem coming from the cube. So I was like, what happens if I take 4 of the individual pieces that make up the flower? And that's 4 of the triangular pieces that makes up the flower. So I was like, if I take 4 of these triangular pieces and put them together, based on universal ratios, then it gave me this negative space where 4 bubbles met. And based on what Walter Russell had talked about in the nature of how electricity moves, it's always seeking a higher pressure condition. So this area in here, this area right here is where electricity is going to be spinning northeasterly.
Okay.
Spinning to the right. Now, as the electricity, as each wave hits here, now it's being pushed by other waveforms, and so it gets pushed out to these vortices at the tip, and now it's no longer able to spin northeast, and so it starts, because it has low density, it has nothing to push against, so it starts spinning southwesterly.
Nobody had went outside the earth to see if we was round. Nobody had went outside the earth to tell them what we at. What's my exact coordinates right now? What's my coordinates?
They sent satellites into space and got pictures of
No,
Earth.
we live in a firmament. They never sent satellites to space because they can't get outside the firmament, gang. That shit is all lies, all cap. No one has seen outside of this place, and no one ever will.
Unc ain't been on no spaceship to see that what he's saying is true either, though.
He's a fisherman. He said after a certain time, being on the shore of the beach is dangerous because that's when they arrive and they take people with them. Point blank, period. And everybody's compound on the coast got electric charged wire on top of the fences, barbed wire, and they all got these signs, danger. And everybody got their security. They say after a certain time it get dangerous. Be inside the gate. Don't go to the water because, none of us can swim good enough to get you back from them. I spoke to a guy, he said he went for a night swim and when he got back to shore, he was standing there with his towel, and he looked, and he seen a merman standing there. The hair was not like you see in the movies. He said he had these large black eyes, and he said he got this compelling feeling to go into the water. And he said he glad he fought the thought, because he said he felt like if he did, nobody ever see him again. And when I went to Puerto Rico, the locals said the exact same thing. Exact same thing.
There's videos now in Mexico of people that are given the same description.
For sure.
Recently, that just happened a few weeks ago, that they seen one that walked onto the shoreline.
That's the thing.
It's got legs.
Apparently, the males don't have the fish appendage at the end. They got legs, but they have webbed hands and webbed feet.
Okay.
So this is the description everybody's getting.
I definitely believe there's something to all these little fairy tales that we have heard our whole life, especially when it comes to mermaids. When a bunch of people are saying the same thing, there's something to it. The whole when there's smoke, there's fire theory applies to that.
Hive mind is actually how they want our reality to look, because it's the ultimate surveillance tool. It's the ultimate control system. This was the original vision of the internet via the ARPANET, to have us all plugged into one mind. And this comes from the occult as well. It's the idea of the perennial philosophy, which goes by several terms. Jacques Vallée's book, The Heart of the Internet, and the history of how they started the internet through DARPA, right? DARPA very much adjacent to this MK Ultra stuff. And it was originally called the ARPANET. And these scientists that created the internet through ARPANET, they were going to Esalen, which is like this new age factory of thought, and looking at various philosophies. And they had described it as they wanted a free world where everyone could access information as a collective intelligence. And this was originally a very sort of hippie idea, because knowledge is power, right? And they wanted to democratize knowledge and have a way for all of us to share it, which, to get political, if you listen to my year-end wrap-up show, we went into this idea of some of my predictions for the year. And one of my predictions was the shutdown of social media.
Fun fact of the day. The area between the eyebrows is called the glabella.
The FBI just arrested a man for using AI to make deepfakes of his ex and her parents. James Strala II is facing federal charges for what might be the most twisted case of cyber stalking we've ever seen. When James got dumped, he refused to let go. James went to the darkest corners of the internet to find really violent sexual videos. He used AI undressing tools to recreate these videos starring his ex-girlfriend. And he did this dozens of times. And then he brought her family into it. He took pictures of her parents off their social media accounts. He fed them into an AI undressing algorithm and made a bunch of deepfake nudes of her parents. James threatened to share the deepfakes if they didn't send him real nude pictures. And when they didn't, James stood on business. He sent those deepfakes to his ex's co-workers, her bosses, and posted them online to adult websites. The worst part is, James did this to multiple women. James's victims didn't consent to being stripped by AI, but AI undressing websites have made it so that any picture or video you share online can be turned into a nude without your consent. I wish I could say that this case was rare, but there are dozens of AI undressing websites and algorithms out there. They're easy to access, hard to control, and the developers do very little to stop people like Strawler from abusing their tools. AI undressing websites are also wreaking havoc in high schools around the world. Students are abusing these websites to make deepfake nudes of their classmates. It's gotten so bad that San Francisco filed a lawsuit against the companies behind a bunch of these undressing sites. Now, Strawler confessed and he's going to prison, but the algorithms that he used to commit these crimes, they don't get a sentence. At best, they might get a software update. AI undressing websites aren't tools, they're weapons that we're selling to anyone who has a credit card. We can put the people who abuse these tools in jail, but we can't put the technology back in the box. So how do we protect ourselves against weapons that live in the cloud.
Well, James definitely needs some counseling and some prison time. And you know for a fact that in the near future, they're going to create laws that are going to make people second guess before they do dumb things like that, because that makes no sense.
Nikola Tesla didn't educate himself by following a school syllabus. Instead, he organized his learning around solving problems. While Tesla did receive formal training in engineering and physics, formal education was never the engine of his thinking. What actually drove him was an intolerance for shallow understanding. If an explanation didn't make causal sense all the way down to its first principles, it just wasn't good enough. And it was this nagging itch to solve problems in a total way that then dictated everything he read, thought about, and tested. You see, when learning is organized this way, your brain starts structuring knowledge around causal relationships instead of just isolated facts. You can apply this directly in your own life by choosing one concrete problem that genuinely bothers you and let it guide your reading for the next couple of weeks. Consume only material that helps resolve that one specific question. Once a week, explain your current answer from memory without notes and revise it as your understanding improves. This is how learning shifts from the mere accumulation of facts to actual understanding.
Let's talk about the esoteric symbolism behind the Golden Globes. Both Haley Steinfeld and Wumi Masaku showed up pregnant, glowing with their Golden Globe bumps together. And the synchronicity reminded me of the twins, Isis and Nephthys, sisters that are part of the divine Ennead, depicting the gods of ancient Egypt. Now, if you're wondering, how is this tied into ancient Egypt, Taylor? I tell this story pretty much every day. In the Ennead, you have the sister wives, Isis and Nephthys. And even though the two women are prospectively in different relationships in real life, both are in relationships with the Smokestack twins featured by Michael B. Jordan in the movie Sinners. Technically, in the story, they serve as polar opposites. Osiris, Lord of the Dead and Rebirth, and Set, the god of desert, storms, and disorder. Very much giving Smokestack twin vibe. But they represent two separate energies, as Smoke wants to join Annie in the afterlife and does not wish to become immortal like a vampire, and Stack ends up achieving immortality. Now, when people tend to think of vampires, they're solely thinking of the Transylvania Vlad the Impaler type of vampire. When we're talking about terms of immortality, it does go back to ancient Egypt. So when I thought of the character Annie and how she asked Smoke to put a stake through her heart if a vampire bit her, it made me think of the Papyrus of Ani, which was essentially a book for the dead. So when I saw both of them pregnant together, I thought about terms of rebirth through the sun god Horus, the twin sister energy, one holding the door open and the other holding the throne, and how the golden globe represents the holy womb. Remember, TikTok, this is for entertainment purposes only.
Just discovered this new creature, the fire amoeba. It can live at hotter temperatures than any other animal, as complex as it is, and it's changing how we think about the conditions for life, both on Earth and beyond. See, we already know that some animals can survive insane temperatures, but they're either simple organisms with no nucleus, or they survive by going dormant, like the tardigrade. We've never seen more complex life continue to move around and reproduce above 60 Celsius, and we thought it couldn't because high temperatures make proteins break down. But then, scientists found these guys in a geothermal spring. Look, they have a nucleus, and we're still active and reproducing past 60 Celsius. And once temperatures reach 70 degrees, they create this protective coating for themselves. Huge if true. So if you need more optimistic science and tech stories, follow along.
U.S. troops used a wonder weapon during the raid on Maduro's house. While capturing Maduro, a Venezuelan soldier says they were brought to their knees, bleeding through the nose and vomiting blood after a sonic weapon was set off. This is from the soldier in Venezuela. Only 8 helicopters dropping off 20 troops overwhelmed and defeated 200 Venezuelan guards. He says they were technologically very advanced and they had weapons that didn't look like anything we fought against before. He then said what ensued was not a battle but a slaughter. Then came the weapon that haunts him. At one point they launched something. I don't know how to describe it. It was like a very intense sound wave. Suddenly I felt like my head was exploding from the inside. Bleeding from the nose, vomiting blood, fell to the ground, unable to move, couldn't even stand up after the sonic weapon. A former intelligence officer confirmed to the New York Post in this interview that the U.S. does have a directed energy weapons technology sector, saying that some of the symptoms the soldier described sounded like it.
Here's some things that I think are connected and that are very important, but I can't really explain why. Let me know if you're on the same wavelength. First is sacred geometry. If you play certain frequencies of sound at sand, they'll make these geometric shapes. I don't know what this is, but it seems important. These same shapes also come up over and over again in all kinds of art all across the world. Next is the fact that if you play music to a plant, it will grow faster. Like, they've done studies on this and they don't know why this is, but plants will literally grow faster. They have preferences in music. It's weird. I feel like it's important. There's also that video of a person who's at a lake and he's playing chords on a guitar. When he plays different chords, the bugs like dance on the lake in different patterns. Again, same wavelength, weird, important. Next is the whole idea of manifestation. I don't really know what this is exactly, but I think people are onto something. Like, you watch a guy who's like super motivated and he's like, oh, I was going to do it. I was going to do it. I was always going to do it. And it's like, yeah, he did it. It kind of makes sense. I don't know why. The double slit experiment. This experiment basically proved that an observer has a physical effect on things that happen in the universe. Genuinely, if you do not know about what this experiment is, you should look into it because it will reframe the way that you look at the entire world. Same thing with the Global Consciousness Project. This is an experiment by Princeton University, basically kind of proving that everyone lives in like this like connected field of consciousness, like all the people on Earth. Next is that sometimes there's people that you just get a sus vibe from. It just makes sense. Like, for some reason, there's something off about them. Animals can tell it too, like your dog can tell. I think that's weird. I think it's also connected. And then I think meditation, more like the power of the mind, falls in here somewhere. I'm not really sure. But let me know what you guys think. I really want to put these pieces together, or someone point me in the direction of where they're already put together.
The common denominator among everything he just said, the mind, all in the mind.
Hey, President Trump said no more Venezuelan oil or money will go to Cuba. President Trump also said Cuba should make a deal before it's too late. The Cuban president responded by saying Cuba is a sovereign nation and nobody tells it what to do. The sudden cutoff of oil is expected to have wide-reaching consequences for Cuba.
Research has shown over and over again that when you type something into your phone, when you type, actually, if you're actually typing on a machine like a keyboard, there's only around 9 neural pathways that get activated. When you print, there's something like 37. But when you use cursive, there's like hundreds of different neural pathways that get activated. Therefore, if you write something down, a to-do, in cursive, your brain is much more engaged. You don't forget it. And your subconscious starts working on it infinitely more than you would if you just typed it into a phone or a computer. Look, I know we're going to use phones or computers and do the best you can. I'm just telling you what I've done. Clearly, if I started today, maybe I'd be using technology a little bit more. I started 40 years ago, and I have guys that are very technical that I trained how to use this, and then they went digital and they went back to the paper system. And they go, Kevin, I still use digital, but I use the paper system and I supplement the paper system with the digital so it's easier to carry around with my phone. So I do have my appointments in my calendar on my phone, but I also still have it written down.
When your ego gets in the way of you getting that W.
I saw a demon that was chained in a pit with these massive chains on top of this devil, binding him in this pit. And I saw an angelic being, which was on the not a demonic, but it was angelic from the Lord, come down and release that demonic spirit. And it came up out of that pit, and he started spinning like the Tasmanian devil on the Bugs Bunny. He was spinning like that. He was spinning profusely when he got out of that pit, and he went inside Vladimir Putin area. It was like I saw Vladimir Putin. I'm going to say it's like he went inside Vladimir Putin. And he, all of a sudden, I saw him strike Poland. Because Poland got missiles from other countries. Something happened. Poland was provoking Russia, okay? Because of war stuff and helping out with Ukraine. But there was something more to this. So all of a sudden, about Warsaw, Poland, I believe is where, by Belarus area, I saw a humongous mushroom cloud, kind of an explosion. I said, Lord, oh no, they're going to use tactical nukes. And the Lord said, no, this is a weapon that has never been used before, ever on the earth. We've never seen this.
Just in case you haven't realized it yet, your intuition will speak to you in statements, and your anxiety will speak to you in questions. Just something to remember the next time your brain is doing the brain thing. I hope you have a good day.
Now I'm going to start paying attention because that is generally how it happens, right?
I caught this interesting image of Caleb McLaughlin, who plays Lucas on Stranger Things, wearing the Star of Ishtar. And I thought it was such an interesting fashion choice because the Star of Ishtar, or the Star of Inanna, is a Mesopotamian symbol of the ancient Sumerian goddess who descends into the underworld. She's also commonly associated with the planet Venus. And you might ask yourself why he might be donning this pin. Well, his love interest in the show, Mac, has a whole character arc of descending into the world of the Upside Down. Even though the way it's shown is kind of inverse, because as she goes into this version of the underworld, she actually floats up rather than down. In the story of Ishtar, or Inanna, she dies and returns from death, very much like Max's character flatlines and then comes back to life again through the gift of music. The star being associated with Venus becomes very interesting, and even a nod to the divine feminine, because even Caleb is a Libra himself, ruled by the planet Venus. Sadie Sink, who plays Max, is an Aries, ruled by the planet Mars. So it seems like this was definitely an intentional pairing to evoke these themes for the show, using the power of Mars, the planet of desire and courage, and Venus, the planet of femininity, beauty, art, romance, and love.
Don't ever try to give someone something that they've never had, because the only thing that you get out of it is a lesson of why they've never got the thing that they want.
Message.
Oh, wait, hold up. Is Trump about to end the Federal Reserve? Let's get into it. Because it's just been reported that the Federal Reserve Chair, Jerome Powell, is now under criminal investigation. So in short, this is from last summer, where Jerome Powell met with Congress to get a budget approved for the renovations for the Federal Reserve. But Trump says, not so fast, you're cooking the books, which has now led to a full-blown investigation.
On Friday, the Department of Justice served the Federal Reserve with grand jury subpoenas, threatening a criminal indictment related to my testimony before the Senate Banking Committee.
What a time to be alive. You guys, if the Fed goes down, we are reshaping the face of America and the entire financial system as we know it. And it's already starting to take shape, because Trump also says the credit card companies will be in violation of the law if they charge over 10% interest rates starting January 20th. And you guys, mind you, the current average credit card interest rate right now is 20 to 21%, and that's with a 700 credit score. But it doesn't stop there. So Trump also said he is banning all these major financial institutions from buying up homes. So like BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, they buy up blocks of homes and re-rent them back to you at a premium. Which he states here, I'm immediately taking steps to ban large institutional investors from buying up single-family homes, and I will be calling on Congress to codify it. I mean, the fact that over 80% of millionaires in America are made from real estate doesn't seem like a bad idea. And the fact that this guy who tried to take out Trump that one time, Thomas Matthew Crooks, was actually in a BlackRock commercial. So there's that. Now, if the Fed does end in the near future, it's just another telltale sign, like this is a telltale sign, because just quietly, Wells Fargo has just purchased $383 million worth of Bitcoin. But nobody knew. Then Bitcoin starts to take off, like now. Then the SEC removes crypto from its 2026 risk list. Are we seeing a trend yet? I'll say it once and I'll say it again. Don't get left behind, because the new system is here. Make sure you guys hit up my YouTube, The Maverick Approach, but let me know what you guys think about all this down below.
Hey, he dropped a lot of alpha, but more importantly, there's a lot going on that's being cleaned up quietly.
I don't make the rules. Unfortunately, these are the laws of human nature. Familiarity kills respect. Access without boundaries breeds entitlement. When people see you too often, hear you easily, and get unlimited access to you, they stop valuing you. Scarcity creates appreciation. Consistency without standards creates comfort, and comfort slowly erodes respect. This is exactly why people treat strangers better than friends, why new relationships feel exciting, why distance always restores value. Familiarity removes mystery. It removes consequence. It teaches people they can cross lines and that you'll still be there every single time. Respect requires friction, boundaries, limits, and the willingness to walk away. When you're always too available, people just assume you're always replaceable. But when you pull back, they remember your value. This applies everywhere. In relationships, work, friendships, leadership. You don't lose respect by setting boundaries. You lose respect by tolerating too much. Be kind, be consistent, but never be unlimited. Because the moment people stop fearing loss, respect disappears. A healthy mind is a healthy life. Now follow me for more content.
Now, you know I was going to leave you with some gems to grow on, man. That was a major gems.
Well, there are really some unexplainable things on the internet, like the Chris Benoit Wikipedia thing. You remember that?
What is that?
Okay, so you know Chris Benoit, right? The WWE wrestler that ended up killing himself and his son and his wife.
Yes, super tragic.
So Chris Benoit in 2007 was scheduled to be a part of an ECW, like a wrestling match, right? He didn't show up. The company behind the scenes was doing a lot of speculating and trying to figure out, reach out to him and all these things. Nobody knew what was going on. So on June 25th, 2007 at 12:01 a.m., an anonymous user on Wikipedia edited Chris Benoit's page and said Chris Benoit did not show up to his ECW match due to personal reasons, the death of his wife, right?
What?
Which is crazy because Chris Benoit, when he committed these murders, it was a 3-day event that happened. He had killed only, at this point when this was posted, police believe he had only killed his wife up until this point. Him and his son were still alive.
How would that person know?
How would they know that? Right. The bodies were not found for another 14 hours. So once this was known, right, the cops believed maybe this person knew something that everyone else didn't, right? So they investigated. Turns out they tracked the IP address of the person who made this edit. The IP came back from Stamford, Connecticut, which is the headquarters of the WWE.
No way.
Well, turns out that this guy who posted it apparently came out and said, it was just a crazy coincidence. I just posted some crazy stuff and I just so happened to be right. A lot of people don't believe that, and I am one of those people.
No,
because coincidences of that size don't just happen.
Oh, goodness. I think most people don't think that's the right idea. It is true that the Treasury Secretary has met typically on a weekly basis for breakfast or lunch with the head of...
Joseph Goebbels, but that wasn't his real name. He was Adolf Hitler's right-hand man. The real name of the Goebbels bloodline was called Bendix, Bendix, which is an Ashkenazi name. Joseph Goebbels was a Khazarian. Hitler's real name is Hiedler, but he had Rothschild blood. I heard that. Because his grandmother, who was raped by a Rothschild, she was, you know about this, I heard about she was a housemaid for the Hamburg, Germany Rothschilds. She conceived Adolf Hitler's father. So that's why Hitler went into, not just the Rhineland, went into Austria, because the government of Austria was keeping all of those records, not just on the true bloodline of Adolf Hitler, but the bloodline of the Third Reich. Most of them were Ashkenazic. That's why they went to war, to hide that. That's why they invaded Poland on September 1st, 1939, to destroy that. Because that's where they're from.
The history.
The history. See, when you look, people are talking about...
So it's kind of like why they invaded Iraq and went straight to the museums.
Went straight to the that's it. You see? Hitler's a Rothschild. Goebbels is Ashkenazic.
Atoms don't actually look like little balls. To see something, we have to basically bounce light off of it. But because the wavelength of visible light is thousands of times larger than an atom, optically it's pretty much impossible. So what's the solution? Enter the electron microscope, one of the coolest technologies that humans have ever made. So instead of light, the microscope shoots a bunch of electrons towards a material, and electrons behave a lot like waves, and they're much, much smaller than light. So then the microscope detects the way the electrons interact with the material, whether it bounces or goes through or whatever. So a computer then takes that data and reconstructs a map, basically, of where the electrons are likely to be. So the ball that you're seeing is not a solid object, but a region of probability.
Oh my god! Three.
Tell me why that sewer system looked like a whole nother dimension. That's pretty creepy.
Then why do you think it's talked about so much in the industry?
Yeah, they said, did I sell my soul? Murder was the case. I want my shit to be about cutting a deal with the devil, then getting sentenced to the pen. Then the shit happened. Bring your lifestyle to me, I'll make it better. And how long will I live? Eternal life and forever. Also parts in the album where you speak to Lucy. Yeah. Lucifer. Yep. The devil, so you yeah, man. Come on, you don't know that Lucy got you all your life. I watched you, and now you all grown up to sign this contract. If that's possible. Did you sell your soul yet? I'ma bring the call. Sold my soul to the devil, and the price was cheap. If I could go back, I never would have rapped. I sold my soul to the devil, I'll never get it back. I'm in trouble, get a deal with the devil now. Pleading with him, like give me my soul.
I have my first record ever and selling my soul to Hollywood Records.
I sold my soul a good price, out of sight.
Biggest rumor though now that I sold my soul to Satan.
But that was a thing for a minute. Juice WRLD sold his soul, right?
Yeah. Look, Juice selling his soul. They ain't take too long. Illuminati, man. Did I sell my soul? I sold my soul for you.
Sold my soul to the devil. Well, needless to say, sold my soul.
Why is your hand over your eye?
Because I'm a devil worshiper. What are you talking about?
We've all seen
I have
that.
tickets to see the devil worshiper. I'd like to thank the devil and all the dark lords.
Thank you to Satan for giving me inspiration on how to play this role.
Like, if you don't get this right now, I swear to Lucifer, I'm gonna...
Have we sold our soul to the devil? How else can you explain us being here? I'm very honored to be able to receive this amazing award from the depths of my soul.
Pay close attention to this video. Tell me what you think.
Good evening, godless sodomites. I'm bringing the truth, John. We're in Hollywood, the belly of the beast.
Reality television celebrates the human condition.
Listen.
It warps the minds of our children and weakens the resolve of our allies.
The results are often dramatic and always unexpected. We're here to honor achievement in that category.
By giving you a golden idol to worship. Kneel before your God, Babylon!
Do you get it? You understand? It's just a joke, right? It's just mockery, right? Back to this comment. The thing you have to understand, there are things that can be done that will separate you from God permanently. Like the mark of the beast. I understand it's not your soul to sell, but this is your temple and you can do whatever you please with it. You have free will. And the Bible specifically states that there are ways to permanently cut you off from God. The mark of the beast. Just saying.
People ask me all the time how to know if the FBI is investigating them, and no, it's not vibes, it's these three things. Yes, these three things actually happen. If you look outside and there's suddenly a mysterious camera mounted on a utility pole pointed directly at your house with no logo, no explanation, it's just quietly watching you take out the trash, it's not the HOA, it's not Amazon, that's a pole cam. And no, they didn't install it to protect your packages. If you're getting your oil changed or checking your tires and you find a little black box mounted underneath your car, congratulations. That's not Bluetooth, it's not Apple AirTag, that's surveillance. And if you didn't put it there, it narrows it down. If federal agents knock on your door and say they just want to ask a few questions, they already have answers. You are not helping yourself, you are helping them. And no, you do not have to invite them in or explain yourself. If this made you nervous, then save it. If this made you laugh, then share it. And if this ever actually happens to you in real life, then stop talking and call a lawyer, preferably someone who has already seen this movie.
Hey, it's somebody out there that's gonna need this type of game right now.
Taste for blood. I would kill animals and drink the blood every week. If I didn't have time to buy an animal, I would cut myself and drink my own blood. The ring of the people that I was with that was in this demonic world, doctors, lawyers, principals, judges, police officers, they were all into witchcraft. There was all, even singers today that are very well known.
Morbid Facts, Part 862. Austin Chumley Russell is best known as the laid-back fan favorite on Pawn Stars, but his life briefly veered off course in 2016 when police raided his Las Vegas home during a sexual assault investigation. The SA allegations were later dropped due to insufficient evidence, but the search uncovered a loaded firearm along with methamphetamine, marijuana, and Xanax. Chum was arrested and later pleaded guilty to a felony weapons charge and a misdemeanor drug charge, receiving probation, counseling, and rehab instead of prison time. He later cleaned up his life, lost 150 pounds, stayed on the show, and has spoken openly about focusing on his health and sobriety afterward. In 2010, an undercover journalist working for the dissident outlet Asia Press smuggled out rare footage from North Korea showing a severely malnourished 23-year-old homeless woman who said she survived by eating grass. Her voice was so weak that the reporter couldn't clearly record her name, and her identity has never been verified. Months later, local contacts reported she was found dead in a nearby cornfield, believed to have collapsed from starvation while desperately trying to eat raw corn. North Korea's state media never acknowledged the footage, but defectors reported heightened surveillance and crackdowns in the area afterward, with anyone suspected of leaking information facing severe punishment.
There are definitely parts of the world that are treacherous and beyond belief.
If you don't drink the Kool-Aid, you don't drink the gold juice, then I will live forever and I'll have whatever I want. So I was offered the gold juice 3 times. I don't know, but I didn't drink it and I didn't want it. They send like people after you. You can have everything you want, all the fame in the world, all the money. I'm like, what if I just drank it? Like, it's all a real thing and it's scary.
Star of Ren fan. Walmart, Star of Ren fan. That's Walmart. 6-pointed star, right there. Symbolism in plain sight, folks.
The elite are the ones who've lost faith in the system that has served them until now. They think it's all going to crash. And if such a real disaster is coming, their real approach to survival in a collapsed society is to get as rich as possible while building a military force capable of controlling the hordes of us, even if that means enacting policies that hasten the collapse. Our job as Team Human is not to succumb to the zero-sum mentality of the wealthy. They're the ones who've given up on prosperity. They are living the nightmare. They are the pessimistic downers who lack faith in the regenerative capacity of people, cultures, the planet, and life itself. They may be the rich, but they are not the strong. They are the weak. So no more doom and gloom. That's their game. I'm Douglas Rushkoff, and I'm on Team Human. And face it, you are too.
This woman went to stir her soup with a spoon, and it's way more dangerous than it looks. Don't try this. When you heat liquid in the microwave, it can become superheated without bubbling. Then, the moment you disturb it, like inserting a spoon, it can release steam all at once, causing it to erupt and burn you badly.
I've been using microwaves for as long as I've been alive, and I've never had that happen to me. If you've had that happen, definitely drop it in the comments and let me know.
I've long thought that, like, longevity or semi-immortality is an extremely solvable problem. I don't think it's a particularly hard problem. I mean, when you consider the fact that your body is extremely synchronized in its age, the clock must be incredibly obvious. Nobody has an old left arm and a young right arm.
Right.
Why is that?
Oh.
What's keeping them all in sync? You're programmed to die. Is the way you're programmed to die, and so if you change the program, you will live longer.
And we've got, species of the bowhead whale can live for 200 years, the Greenland shark can live for 500 years. And when I learned that, I said, why can they? Why can't we? And I said, it's either a hardware problem or software problem, and we're going to have the tech to solve that. And I do believe that this next decade. So The important thing is not to die from something stupid before the solutions come.
In retrospect, the solution to longevity will seem obvious.
Yeah.
Extremely obvious.
Elon is definitely about to figure it out, and I'm pretty sure we're about to have 200-year-old humans walking this earth very soon.
So if we have an optic nerve on the back of our eyeball, then why don't we have a blind spot in our vision where that attaches? We do. We have a blind spot in each of our eyeballs that our brains hide from us, and I'll prove it to you. We'll do it together right now. I'll help you find yours. If you close your right eye and you see out your left eye, the blind spot is going to be just outside the center of your vision, so like out here. So if I'm this guy, Douglas Harding, and I'm looking at my shoes, then the blind spot is going to appear about right there to the left of them, and we can find it precisely. And here's a foolproof way to find it. Close that right eye, look at the black dot, and keep looking at it as you move the phone closer, and eventually you'll get to a distance where, boom, right there, the plus completely disappears. If I go closer, it comes back, disappears again, appears again. It's crazy. Mike, disappear, reappear, disappear, reappear. So crazy. The brain just fills it right in. Usually when both your eyes are open, your brain is using the data from your other eye to fill it in. But when you close that eye, your brain only has a best guess of like, let's fill it in with the color that's around it.
That's the one. But, I mean, judging by your speech, at moments like this make you feel vindicated.
We made it.
Completely random fun fact that will probably disturb a lot of you. So the Space Shuttle Challenger exploded in 1986 on live television. It was a televised launch of the Space Shuttle, and as it was taking off into space, the rocket exploded. Chances are you've seen the explosion at some point. Anyway, if you watch footage of the explosion carefully, you can see that the cockpit that housed all of the astronauts inside it was actually propelled farther into space by the explosion itself. So as you're watching, you can see the cockpit just get launched way farther up into the air than any other part of the rocket. It reached a higher apogee than any other part of the shuttle, and it came back down to Earth at a total free fall, unaccompanied by anything else. The messed up part is that it remained completely intact and properly pressurized the whole time, meaning that it's pretty likely that many, if not all, of the astronauts inside experienced the entire thing, including their entire fall back down to Earth. Literally gives me nightmares.
This high-speed robotic hand performs skillful manipulation far beyond human reflexes. Developed by the Ishikawa Kimura lab at the University of Tokyo, it uses ultra-fast vision and touch to dribble balls, spin pens, tie knots, and re-grasp objects in real time.
It's definitely a matter of time before we see robotic sports. It's already starting to take place slowly but surely, if you haven't noticed.
Urgency is essential. When I look around the globe, Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, and others are increasing their collaboration and their cooperation as their interests align against us. We see this clearly in Ukraine. While President Trump pushes for a peaceful resolution to a horrible war, China continues to fund Putin's war machine. Iran continues to supply technology and weapons. And North Korean combat troops remain in Russia on Ukraine's border. And of course, there's a confluence between Russia, Iran, and Venezuela and their dark fleet of oil tankers that is helping to fund the war. In the Arctic and the high north, we see a similar trend. Russian and Chinese vessels are conducting more and more joint patrols. Chinese icebreakers and research vessels are in Arctic waters, and their research is not for peaceful purposes. It's to gain a military advantage. Russia, meanwhile, continues testing advanced capabilities in the Barents Sea. As new shipping routes emerge and new resources are discovered, the Arctic only grows in strategic importance. And all of this comes in the midst of an increasing hybrid threat: airspace violations, GPS and GNSS interference, and the shadow fleet in the Baltic Sea threatening underwater infrastructure. In short, the Arctic, and Northern Europe by extension, has become a front line for strategic competition. Within NATO, Allied Command Operations, the command that SACEUR oversees, has taken steps to strengthen our deterrent posture, much of which is oriented in that northern region, here. Just over a year ago, we established Baltic Sentry, an activity to protect that critical underwater infrastructure. In this past fall, we developed Eastern Sentry to increase our agility and further integrate our air and missile defenses on the eastern flank. More recently, in just the past month, we've realigned the boundaries of our joint commands, and now Joint Force Command Norfolk brings together NATO's activities in the Arctic under one command, allowing us to better defend all allies in Europe, in the Arctic, and the strategic approaches to North America. Allies are also working together closely on Arctic issues. At a recent Arctic Chief of Defense conference, we agreed to increase our understanding of activity in the Arctic, to enhance our domain awareness, and to increase our own activities and exercise.
Well, you guys, that's another one in the books, man. Hey, I appreciate you guys for stopping by and watching yet another one with me. If you haven't already, make sure to smash that like button for me. Smash that subscribe button if you're not already part of the iTrack fam. And we'll definitely catch you on the next one.